I'm in search of conversation guests. If you are interested or know someone that might be interested, please contact me directly. Thank you.
Where do we want to start with cryptocurrency? I want to start with Coinbase. Had their IPO. Supposedly, it's supposed to be today, but I didn't see any news on it. So, do you know what Coinbase is?
Yes, I have a Coinbase.
You didn't mess around. You went straight to the
thing.
Straight for the throat here.
Yeah. No, I told him, I was like, I know nothing. Yeah. So I think I have the Coinbase app.
Okay.
But I don't know how to get my money.
No, you have to put money in.
I did.
Okay.
Like, where is it?
Oh, I think you mentioned this last time to some degree, but I didn't know you actually. Okay, so you have money in Coinbase. Do you know what you bought, or
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, you probably. I'm gonna guess.
I'm here to play the dumb female. This is Renee. I know I bought some Bitcoin, some Litecoin.
Oh.
And I think I might have some Ethereum.
Okay, awesome. So with Coinbase, so they're about to IPO. We'll talk about the IPO afterwards. For your money that's in there, it's a centralized exchange, so they're going to hold your Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. When you say you don't, do you not have the password to get in, or
I don't. I might not.
Do you have? Well,
I don't know.
Okay, so you just remember buying some. Hopefully, it's tied to an email address, so you could do your forget password, and then.
Yeah, that might have been the issue.
Okay, hopefully you could do forget password, and they'll let you in.
You should still have your money.
You should still be good.
The worst case is it gets lost and nobody has it.
Yeah, at least no one has it, because if I can't have it, no one can.
Yeah, there is that element to cryptocurrency. If you lose. If your money, your money's on the exchange though, so it'll be there at the exchange.
What Emmett's talking about is in cryptocurrency, you could hold the private key to your wallet, so it's slightly different. So Coinbase is a centralized exchange, so they'll hold the user's coins. Cryptocurrency is built in a way where you could have a wallet which has a private key, which is the password to that wallet. If you lose that, no one has that private key and no one can retrieve that for you. But since you're on Coinbase, they handle the private key for you and everything. So, and
it's a very safe and smart way to do it.
Yeah,
when you're starting out,
unless you forget your password and.
Well, it's tied, but it's tied to the email, so hopefully you should be able to get in. Yeah, sometime when you're free, I'll try to walk through that with you.
Yeah, I'll need some serious tutorialing.
Cool. So Coinbase supposedly was supposed to IPO today, but I didn't see any news. So IPO, they're valued at $68 billion, and then a lot of analysts were saying they're thinking it's going to be $100 billion or more. I don't know what does that mean? They're just looking as analysts. They're just looking in.
Yeah, I think the reason we haven't heard any news yet, because news cycle usually takes a day. So tomorrow you might hear an article about if it IPO'd and went up or down, or what the pricing was or whatever. But also I think they did a direct listing to market, which is a new way that stocks. I don't know a whole lot about this.
Okay.
Yeah. But so in the old days, there was a lengthy process to IPO your company, to take your company public and issue stock. There was a onerous process, but they figured out some other route to do it called a direct listing. And I haven't studied it all, but I think it's something like you set up a company first and then you issue the stock through that company that's already set up somehow.
Okay.
So it's a direct listing, so it happens quicker and with less fanfare, I think.
So with the something that Em and I have been talking about in the last few days about Coinbase IPOing it, because it's the first cryptocurrency exchange to IPO. So this is potentially a very big moment for cryptocurrency. I hope, for me, selfishly, I hope that brings all of cryptocurrency market up, because more eyeballs on cryptocurrency, as in people are saying, Coinbase is such a huge company to be able to IPO. So Emmett's been saying that brings legitimacy to
I was about to say that.
Yeah. There's probably more. Is there more?
No, I mean, that makes it a legitimate thing. If it's on the U.S. stock market, that's a real company doing a real thing that's regulated by, the SEC and the federal government and whatever state they're operating in. I think they're based out of San Francisco. So it gives a lot of implicit trust for anybody that was unsure about cryptocurrency, or, sounds sketchy, or you hear old things. Now it's turning into a new world. And I think the best analogy is kind of like Netflix. In the old days, if you were downloading movies off the internet, were you stealing movies or pirating movies or what? But at some point, Netflix became a legitimate company. You could buy movies or your subscription to movies. And then at some point, Netflix IPO'd, and it's one of the top performing tech companies that's in the FANG, right? In that group of high performing tech companies. So hopefully Coinbase is in that realm, I think. But the way Netflix brought a new thing to everybody in a legal and legitimate way, I think Coinbase does the same thing for cryptocurrency.
When do you think, in your mind, that, or actually, do you remember around what date you put in that money into Coinbase? Just
a while, over a year ago.
Over a year.
Oh, you're good.
It probably wasn't a whole lot. So,
well,
who knows what it is?
Emmett's saying that because probably since a year ago, you're looking at.
No, it's probably more than that. Probably around 2017, 2018. So that's when I was.
Well, it was after that 90. Do you remember when it was at a peak? Do you remember people saying it was a big peak, or did it have a big crash? Do you happen to remember?
I think it was in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, you're good.
Even
at the peak, you'd still be ahead.
Yeah, that's true.
Now from there.
Then,
yeah. If you happen to buy at that 90% drop afterwards, then you're probably at that's probably 15x, maybe. So we should probably get access to your
find us out. Might be helpful.
For a small percentage, Liem will help you access your
small finder's fee.
So one interesting point about cryptocurrency is you invest in other things, you buy the things, you're looking for appreciating assets, right? You want to own something that grows in value. So I don't know of a lot of things that normal people can buy that does that. So houses, stocks, I don't know. After that, maybe like collectibles or art or classic cars, but you kind of almost have to be an expert in watches or antiques.
Legos.
Yeah. So you can't just buy any Lego though. You have to know which one is valuable, right? So as far as general things, I think cryptocurrency is probably the third category for me of appreciating assets. But what's interesting is that we're used to real estate and the stock market going up by percentage. So like the real estate market is on a tear and it's going up like 12% a year. Mm-hmm. And this year is going to be incredible when the numbers come out. But the stock market and a good year is 10% gain, right? Your money grew 10%. But with cryptocurrency, it is so volatile and so wild that you'll see multiples of like this year you're up, it will say 15x or 3x. Like this year it tripled in value. So that's the attraction to me, is that I can put in a relatively small amount and potentially have a multiplying gain on whatever money you put in. Mm-hmm. So that's exciting to me because I come from an accounting my degree is in accounting is where I started. So the difference between making a percentage and making a multiplier is a whole world of difference, right?
Yeah, it's exponential. Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2017 or 18 when you bought, do you kind of remember what was going through your mind, or did people talk you into it, or what were you thinking about cryptocurrency?
I don't know. I think I was...
what was your motivation?
What brought you here? That's usually my question.
How did you find Jesus?
Yeah. So in 2017, I actually lost my job. And so there was a whole, like, we don't need to go into the whole spiral that I went into, but there was a lot of like existential crisis going on and like questioning everything. And I had a few friends that had got into crypto like really early on.
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin was 10 cents kind of thing,
Oh, yeah.
like way back in the day. And, you know, they're always talking about it, you know, like, hey, you should get in on this. And I'm like, all right, I'll throw a couple here and there and see what happens. And
Yeah.
I don't remember being like impressed within the first, you know, immediate, you know, however minutes, like months that I was actually paying attention to it.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to see what it is now.
Yeah. Did any of your friends kind of tell you just the premise of blockchain, decentralized blockchain, and what it brings and why it's good or anything?
So, yeah, I mean, they described a lot of like the why it's good, but in terms of like what is block, how does this work, like the mechanics of it, it's so intangible to me that it's just like voodoo. So I kind of like gave up trying to understand it and just like, all right, like how's electricity work? I don't know, it just does. So it's all very abstract to me, and I'm guessing that's what kind of scares a lot of people away. That like where are my Bitcoins? You know, like where are they? I can't see them. I can't touch them. I don't like, you know.
They're on the blockchain.
And they're on the blockchain. Like, where is that? Yeah. So it's like you're putting a lot of faith in just kind of your computer.
Yeah.
And the wizards behind it.
Yeah. I think me and you talked a little bit about the mining nodes around the world and how they're all decentralized and how they work in unison because there's open source code, which all of them have the same code. If they alter the code, did we talk? I think we did talk about that.
A little bit.
But you say all that like you're not speaking French.
Right?
So yeah, I heard what you said.
I heard the words. Well, that kind of makes sense because there's the whole, it gets mined places, and it's not like there's a mountain with a bunch of Bitcoin in it, but it's all like happening digitally around the world. So the whole code thing makes sense.
Yeah. It's
still voodoo though.
I'll say, I'll try to start it where it started making sense to me. So RSA is an encryption that is pervasively through almost everything that's at the internet. Like anytime you see a website that's HTTPS ://www.google.com, if it doesn't have that S in there, then it's not using RSA encryption. RSA is the three initials of the three guys that came up with this encryption. But
that I did not know.
As far as I know, those
Riley, Sam, and Asherton. No?
I don't know. I was
Robert. Sorry, guys.
I thought you were going.
I'm going to look it up.
So these three guys came up with it supposedly, but from my understanding, so this goes. I don't know this for sure. I think I've researched or double checked it twice, and I still forgot. But even in World War II, World War I, when they sent encrypted messages from America to, say, Germany, what they did was they did a super low form of RSA encryption, which is you take two prime numbers and then you do this. There's a bunch of math, and then you get a private key and a public key. Let's say you take the prime number of 3 and 13, but you wouldn't normally do that. Those are super easy. The prime numbers nowadays are things that have like I believe, I'm not positive of this, I think there's like 9 digits or more in their prime number. So the odds of you guessing which prime numbers are to that RSA encryption or to that thing that you're trying to decrypt is very unlikely because there's millions and millions of prime numbers. So it's unlikely that you would guess. But with humans back in during World War II, it'd have to be done by hand. There wasn't really, I don't think there was calculators back then.
Probably very crude.
So they'd have to pick an RSA encryption, which this is going to later on when we talk about quantum computers.
If they had slide rules. A slide rule is a mechanical calculator.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think in the
I know stuff.
I think in the Turing, Alan Turing movie, was it called? I forget the name of that movie, but I think they showed
A Tortured Mind.
No,
A Beautiful Mind.
Different guy.
Oh, different mathematician.
Yeah.
Sorry, I quit.
I request this be edited out.
So
I request to stay in.
So back then they had to pick easy prime numbers because you have to do it by hand. But if you pick too hard of prime numbers, even by hand to decrypt it when you know the answer, or you know the keys, it would take forever to decrypt that message. So it's this long algorithm to take the 2 prime numbers, multiply the message, and you get this long string. So then if you have the private key, you could decrypt it, but there's still a lot of math. But nowadays we take that for granted because computers are able to compute that super, super quick. But with RSA, if you're trying to brute force that, gosh, I don't know how to make it sound better. It just sounds boring. I'm like thinking how this sounds to you guys. I've actually done the math.
It's a terrible movie.
I think right now RSA encryption on most cryptocurrencies is 256 bit. It goes up 256, 512, 1000, 2048. It keeps on going up. But right now, conventional computers, that computer over there, it takes forever to hack a 256 bit.
Like literally forever.
Literally. I actually did the math. I'm a nerd. It's a 1 with 70 zeros, and that's how many years to hack one wallet. If you know the public key to it, you need to hack the private key. It would take 1 with 70 zeros. That's how many years. So it's the end of the universe. Like if computers don't upgrade, then it's fantastic because you have an algorithm that.
Dude, think how much your coin would be worth at the end of the universe.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
They might even have like a physical coin by then.
Well, people are kind of actually working on that. So jumping to quantum computers, if someone says like, am I afraid of it? I'm like, no, I think you just jump up to, if quantum computers could hack the 256, let's try 512. If they're able to hack that, then go to 1 meg, 1024. If they're able to hack that, then.
So you increase the difficulty of the
prime numbers, ultimately
of the operation as the computing power goes up.
Yeah. And the awesome thing that this scales is the encrypted message. If you have the key, it's super fast to hack it. It scales with it, if that makes sense. So
it's exponentially harder to hack it than it is just to solve it if you have the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is the basis of everything about blockchain. So let's go into like the mining servers.
So it's very secure because mathematically it's virtually impossible to crack.
Yeah. And as technology advances, you just make it more that much more difficult.
So the mining servers, as far as I might have this a little bit not fully understood, but to my understanding, the mining servers, they use everything on the blockchain is the fundamentals of this RSA thing. So from the wallet, the private key, and also all the mining servers, they use that math, that RSA, to say, hey, I just figured out the block and this last block that has all these transactions in it. Here's my signed signature to to that block. Everyone can also do their calculations to it, and then they'll say, oh, I came up with the same answer, so you're correct. And that signed block is that one miner, so they get the fees, and everyone's just like, yeah, that was the guy, that was that computer. So no one can hack it to say, no, I was the first one, because that guy, that person, that computer advertised it first. It's so fast that no human's doing this. It's these computers sitting here with all these GPUs that you hear about. These GPUs do all those calculations and broadcast the message, say, I'm the first one to figure out that puzzle. So that's, when you hear that people talk about the puzzle, that's what the mining servers are doing. So when I understood RSA encryption, that was the light bulb for me in 2016.
A GPU is a graphics processing unit. So your computer has a processor in the middle of it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
A graphics processor is, you need a specialized processor if you're going to like render video and video games quickly. So these are optimized to do very fast, narrow transactions, whereas your CPU does all the things that your computer does. So it's weird that you have this special turbo processor if you're playing video games or something.
Yeah.
But it also happens to be very good at doing this particular math decoding. So a lot of cryptocurrency transactions are processed on graphics cards. I'm trying to translate to English for our viewing audience.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
for this audience.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No, that does make sense because I know that that's a thing. You know, my friends that build computers for gaming and stuff, they're
Yeah.
always like, "Oh, I got everything except my graphics card. I got to save up," and they're
Yeah.
like thousands of dollars, and
yeah.
the technology upgrades so quickly that they just have to keep getting.
Well, it's weird to me that they keep making video games that require so much processing because they're not necessarily funner games. They're just more beautifully
Yeah,
rendered in however high definition you need.
and then you can do it because you have the right graphics card. And
Yeah, so it's a weird arms race kind of thing. So you've explained how secure it is because of the encryption.
So the light bulb for me was understanding RSA. Once I understood that, I guess prior. So in the story goes in 2008 when
Should we explain a blockchain
yes.
after your story?
Yeah.
2008.
So, I think the story doesn't really add anything. It's just that coworker said, "Hey, what do you think about this Bitcoin thing?" That the white paper was out. So then, at that time as a programmer, I didn't understand RSA encryption. I was like, "There's no way you could create that." And they're like, "Well, someone created this blockchain thing that's unhackable," and I'm like, how's that going to work out? You're going to put money onto something that supposedly is unhackable? I'm a programmer. At that time, I was a junior programmer. I was like, no one could build something unhackable. That's impossible. And that statement sort of is semi-true. It's improbable that you would hack a wallet. Improbable till the end of the universe. If you had that much time, you might be able to hack one wallet, but
you could conceivably guess correctly on the first try.
Correct. It's improbable. Yeah.
Yeah. It's larger than the number of atoms in the universe or something.
Probably right.
Some ridiculous number of
Yeah.
how unlikely it would be to guess the answer.
Yeah. So the blockchain is as the mining servers, like that person, that one miner that figured out the answer. So there a bunch of transactions will come in. Like say there's probably 15 transactions. The math, this part I'm not fully sure of. It does the math on those 15 transactions and finds an output that fits. Gosh, this gets complicated. There's a
Can I try?
Sure. Well, let me go to the complicated, and then you can bring it back if you want.
And then you can translate it for me.
Yes.
There's a network difficulty. There's an advertised network difficulty that scales. So if there's too little mining servers around the world, they make it easier. And what they do is they actually, when you figure out that puzzle, they may require so many zero. It's a puzzle because your answer has to fit the difficult, and how they fit the difficulties, how many zeros at the beginning of that answer. So it's like there's multiple correct answers for that 15 transactions. This is complicated, but they just change how many zeros. So like the answer is like 000 A1 B7. It's like a hexadecimal, super long thing, and somebody has to come up with the answer. But they say something like the first 12 characters have to be zeros. So you literally have to make this mathematical thing that comes out with an answer that fits all 15 transactions, but also has to have the first 15 characters as zeros. So it's a puzzle game. It literally is. So if the network gets too easy or too difficult, if it gets too difficult, they change the 15 zeros to 14 zeros and say, okay, whoever's the first to find the answer with 14 zeros instead of 15 zeros. So a block composes the answers that fits the network difficulty and has other data in there, but that block has all those transactions. So whoever figures out that block, it goes in the blockchain. So that computer that figures it out, they've added that block to that chain, and everyone around the world, as long as that's wasn't hacked, and because everyone has the same software, they will all agree eventually. So the blockchain is blocks chained together that has all their transactions.
That totally made sense.
I guess I don't who decides all of this?
So
Like who are these like entities out there that
Let me start over on blockchain.
Okay.
So blockchain is the public record of where, in this case for cryptocurrency, where all the money has ever been and where it's going. So
like all of the cryptocurrency?
yeah, so let's say the first Bitcoin started in
2009.
In 2009, you issued your first Bitcoins, right? If this guy wanted to give some to his friend, he sends it over the network, and the blockchain records, okay, 4 Bitcoins went to this guy. And then this guy wanted to buy a pizza, and it goes, okay, this many Bitcoin went to this address. So that record is continued. So even today, if you look at the Bitcoin blockchain, you can read all the way back every transaction that ever happened. So it's a public record of what transactions happened. It's anonymous in that it doesn't tell you whose account each wallet is, each address. Each address belongs to somebody, but it doesn't tell you whose address it is. So you can see where everything went, but not who owns each address.
If you were to have a bunch of Bitcoin and you just decided to publicly on this video, like say my Bitcoin wallet address is 019H, well, H isn't in there, A0, like the 32 characters, and you said it, then everyone would know that's your wallet, and they could go search on the blockchain and they could actually see, oh, Renee sent 2 Bitcoin to this person, to this other address. They know who you are, but they don't know who you sent it to.
Mm-hmm.
So
They just have the
address,
like the numerical address.
it's kind of
Yeah,
it's kind of like a home
yeah.
address. If you said your home address right now, then they could find you, type of thing. That'd be
Yeah.
the same thing for the
I heard
wallet.
she has a very nice home. Nicer than Renee
That's
Zellweger's
great
house.
as hell. I hear that.
So the blockchain is this ongoing record of every transaction
Okay.
that ever happened, in this case in Bitcoin, right? So
I just realized I went so deep on the blockchain thing.
yes,
I'm glad you came back.
we're building blocks, yeah.
So those are the transactions that you're talking about, is all of the
Well,
exchanges.
Yes.
it happens in blocks because you're not just doing one transaction at a time. You're going,
Yeah.
here's a bunch of transactions. So in a group, you're batching the transactions.
Okay.
So instead of spending all your time processing one by one, you can do it in chunks. So it's public in that anybody can read it.
Mm-hmm.
It's anonymous in that we don't know who owns what addresses. It's distributed because it doesn't happen on one computer. It goes out over the network, and all of the mining computers that are on the Bitcoin network, for example, are competing to decode the transaction first. And the first guy to get it, and if enough other computers verify, yes, he got it first and he did it correctly, then there's some transaction fee that goes to that guy.
Okay.
And it happens in such a fashion that if everybody on the network more or less gets kind of an equal number of wins. So if there are fewer miners, then they'll make more money.
Mm-hmm.
If there's too many miners, then they'll each make less and less money per
Okay.
transaction.
So that's like, because there's like all these apps out now where like you just leave the thing on your phone and you walk around and it like mines Bitcoin. So that's basically what it's doing.
Yeah, they have those,
Okay.
but no, those on the phones usually the CPU and or GPU on the phone. I don't know if phones have GPU, but the CPU on the phone is not very powerful, so it's not going to really yield you very much.
Yeah.
But that's I think
It's in concept.
that's the
Similar?
concept. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I'm not using these processors on my phone, so it can go on the network and maybe it'll catch some money by doing some transactions.
Okay.
It'll get some tiny share of the bounty. So that's what makes it distributed.
Okay.
If it's a public record and it's distributed, then it's kind of that's the decentralized part. And what's attractive about that in some ways is that it can't be controlled or manipulated or erased, or you can't lie about what happened because everybody has a copy.
Mm-hmm.
So once you put your processor on the network, it has a copy of all those transactions, more or less. You can correct me. Yeah, I don't know.
Most miners are just processing, and other miners will confirm it, but they actually really don't hold it. There are full nodes. That's what full nodes are actually what would hold the full blockchain. So
The whole record.
yeah.
Okay.
But, full nodes is a funny thing. It's actually super good for the network, but most people don't run a full node.
Who needs another copy
Yeah, exactly.
of what happened in 2008?
Yeah, exactly. And especially if millions of miners around the world are saying, yes, this next record is right, this next record was right,
Yeah.
there's kind of sort of no need. The only thing I could imagine is for a this is way beyond, this kind of, I guess, advanced. I would imagine a company, if they wanted to build a very super secure crypto exchange, maybe they could I'm actually not even fully sure. I would think they should put up a full node and watch for any discrepancies as the network, because there's naturally there's attempted hacks all the time. So they should probably have a full node up just to catch, just because they could rely on their node unless their node gets hacked, and that kind of sucks. But so anyways, full nodes would have the whole blockchain. Nodes that miners don't really have the full blockchain. They're just processing those new things coming in and out.
Okay. That's an upgrade to my understanding. That's good.
I'm very upgraded here.
So with all the miners in the world, I like to go into this concept that decentralization brings a consensus of truth. Now this goes beyond like cash and money. Like it's just, even cash itself is just data. I'm giving you $2. If I gave you $2, that's just kind of just data. Because later on, if you want to buy 2 candy bars, my candy bar thing, I think it sucks to say that $1 only buys you a candy bar, because back in the day, like you could buy like probably 3 candy bars back when I was younger.
Depends on which day you're talking about.
Yeah. So anyways, so
How far back is this day?
Yeah, you could go back to like 1 penny Hershey bar or something, right?
Yeah. So if I gave you $2 and you go buy 2 candy bars, that's just really, it's just data. It's not what is money.
No, it's candy. Snickers are delicious.
It is calories.
So I think
keeps you from turning to Joe Pesci when you're hungry.
Was he in the movie Casino? Is that Joe? No.
Yeah, all those gangster movies.
So consensus of truth, I think, brings an entire paradigm. Like it's so massive that it's baffling. It's almost baffling to me that there's so much money in cryptocurrency and you hear almost no one talking about it. Consensus of truth. Now, I probably get too far into the future, like sci-fi and this type of stuff, but this technology is so revolutionary where people don't even understand where it's going to go. It's like if in 1994 someone says, "Hey, we're eventually going to have this company that doesn't own cars and or the drivers. These employees bring food, which is called Uber Eats, to your house." Like if someone said that in 1994, that we're going to have Uber Eats, that you could get Uber Eats through some phone device that's like a supercomputer, like I would have not believed that. That's where I see this. I think this paradigm shift can go. Will it happen? Probably not. Humans are stupid, but I think that's where it could go.
I just saw a meme of a dude that was so high on baked that he went and ordered pizza, and he didn't realize he didn't actually order the pizza. He ended up paying $15 for a side of ranch to arrive at his door through like a DoorDash or something, because he was just
see it happening,
just smoked out of his mind. And
just that side of ranch.
Yeah,
it's the delivery fees they get you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is an insane concept for anybody from an older time, right?
When you even think about it, I remember the first time somebody told me that they were like, in Japan, they have cameras on your phones. And I'm like, well, why would you need that? That's stupid. That's never going to take off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's surpassed and replaced.
I know.
And it's crazy.
It's
to
nutty.
some degree, phones have such emphasis on the camera. Like
Yeah.
people will choose to buy. I've done it. I've literally 2 years ago when I was going on a trip to Vietnam, I wanted to get a super high end camera, but I wanted to get a phone that had a camera in it. I wanted a super nice camera, but I didn't want to buy a separate camera. So I was like trying to find the best camera phone. It was just a weird thing.
Well, that's like how social media exists, essentially, is because you can just like, oh, here's a picture of Liem, upload.
Here's my curry.
Yeah.
So are we? I kind of walked into this. I don't know. Are we answering Renee's questions, or are you giving a breakdown? What's the format?
I have no idea.
I'm just here to learn. I'm just happy to be here.
What questions or what comes to mind as we were talking about the blockchain and cryptocurrency?
I mean, you kind of helped explain, like for me, it's just the whole concept of it is so abstract that I can't wrap my very concrete thinking mind around it. So that kind of helps me understand a little bit more of like, what is blockchain? What is the function of it? Like it's still, for me, it's very weird that there's just like who invents these cryptocurrencies? Like, where do they come from? They just kind of show up with these cute little names, and it's like, oh, Doge and Cat and XYZ and
Well, the first one was
whatever.
invented by a mysterious Japanese dude who disappeared.
Did you know about that?
no.
So
This is not adding any credibility to
Wait, is this a real thing, or are you messing with me?
seriously,
Okay.
yeah.
Seriously. So Bitcoin was created by an entity that goes by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. And till this day, nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is.
He wrote a brilliant white paper that invented Bitcoin and explained how it would work and how you could make it happen. So some mathematical computer genius came up with this idea and wrote a paper on how to do it.
He coded. Well,
Did he actually code it?
Yeah. From my understanding, he wrote the white paper, and then he was already, by the time he released the white paper, the code was probably 90% done or something. And then I'm not sure if the white paper was just to kind of get the key people in play. Like probably Gavin Anderson's probably a huge person in Bitcoin. So at that time, Satoshi Nakamoto contacted Gavin Anderson. I'm thinking Craig Wright too, which that there's a big controversy. Craig Wright right now is trying to say he's Satoshi Nakamoto, and there's so much evidence that he's not, and it's taken him to court. He's getting sued and all this stuff, but
It's not even his name.
well, I mean, yeah.
I know it might be Craig Wright.
Not even close.
So
Craig wrong.
he also contacted Hal Finney. These people were all cyberpunks, people that knew encryption and ciphers. Yeah, they know that's like probably their major in college or something. So
They're in that world.
So Satoshi kind of got a small team together and vetted that white paper, and probably I actually don't know. I'm guessing he probably put the white paper out and just said, "Hey, this is what I got going, guys. Let me know if you see any hackable holes in it." And then one of the key pieces about cryptocurrency for it to be decentralized is for the code to be out in open source. So meaning anyone could download it and see every line of code. What that does is in the decentralized world, everyone could have the same exact set of code, and
you can't sneak in some way to steal the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. If someone were to inject some type of code into one mining server, and then everyone have to download that, bunch of developers would look at that code like, hey, what is this line of code here that says that at block 1,000,001 to give 500 coins to this address? What is that type? Why is that code there? So everyone, hopefully developers would see it and chop it out, and then they would tell the miners to not download that new update or whatever. So there's GitHub, which has the code. I probably shouldn't get into that, which that's where all the developers put the code. So we don't know who Satoshi is, but all these other newer coins, I think every new coin we pretty much know who the creator is. They usually advertise and put out a white paper, and they could look at the white paper and then the code, and that's all published online. And so
there are some very reputable coins that have a development team, and you know exactly who they are, and they go on podcasts, and they work in a public place, and everything's above board. And then there are hundreds of coins that are just some dude copied the code here and slapped a new name on it. So it pays to research your coins if you're picking coins.
Yeah. So don't just go off of cool names and stuff like.
No, unless it's Dogecoin, then.
I mean, dude, Doge has had a pretty big
or
jump.
Doggy Coin for other.
Doggy coin.
Yeah.
So
I would have been a millionaire if I would have put my money in Doggy Coin.
Yep.
So that one was invented as a joke.
Yeah.
They were saying, hey, look at this cryptocurrency. Anybody can watch me make a cryptocurrency. And here it is.
You just need the right Twitter account behind it.
Yeah.
Apparently.
And with open source, I mean, that's sort of, well, Litecoin, let's just take Litecoin's a good one in the sense of, personally, I wouldn't put a lot of money in Litecoin, but it does have a good set of developers as far as I understand behind it. So what happened, from my understanding, Bitcoin was going along, and then a set of developers like, hey, Bitcoin is too slow in doing this, so let's change this. And then some of the, I think a big portion of the Bitcoin community is like, no, we don't like that change that you're suggesting to make it do something else that we don't want. Whether it be, I don't know what it was. I'm guessing it was probably I'm guessing the size of the block.
Was their goal to make it faster transactions?
I think so. That probably size of the block would make sense on that. The bigger the block, the faster it goes, but the potentially less secure it can be.
Yeah. So the legitimacy and the development of a particular coin is not necessarily tied to its price or its value or its popularity on the market.
And because it's open source code, you could just go take Bitcoin code, just create your own new coin, and without being a legitimate person or anybody that knows anything about it. Or if you have, even worse, if you have, if you want to steal people's money of some sort, or you don't care about people, you'll pump this coin that you just made, the Renee coin, and then you like buy some advertising time on the Super Bowl weekend, Super Bowl advertisement, and then just get people to buy it, and then you sell all your coins all of a sudden. So that's where
this is a great. Tell me more about this. Making my own. Tell me more about Renee coin.
I think it's harder than it sounds, because you could go get a copy of Bitcoin code. Any cryptocurrency, any true cryptocurrency will have their source open source. Any of their code open source. But I think getting marketing and getting people to know about it, that's harder than it sounds.
Because the value, I guess from my understanding, the value comes kind of like the stock market, like how much interest there is in it in terms of like people buying it, or yes and no ish.
So yeah, anybody can copy and make a new coin with a new name on it. So that's happened a lot. If you convince people that there's some legitimate thing behind it, some coins are like, hey, we're gonna be money for video games, or some coins are like, hey, we're gonna invent this game with kitty cats on it, and you can trade kitty cats. And
sounds awesome.
Or so that was a super popular thing a few years ago.
Oh, was that a thing?
Yeah,
it was.
Did I miss the boat on that?
Yeah,
it was a wild year for crypto kitties.
I guess. Dang it.
There were these ugly digital characters. Well, I shouldn't say ugly. They were strange,
crudely drawn.
You just don't want to use the word cute.
They weren't cute. I'm not even into cute stuff, but they were funky cartoon characters of cats, and you could get different features on them. And then like collectibles, you're trying to get certain cats or whatever. So people got excited about it. I think partially because it was one of the first things you could buy on the blockchain. It was at a time when people were struggling to find things to buy.
Yeah.
So there was some excitement over it, and then people got bored of it, and what do I do with this?
What do I do with this cat?
Yeah. So each coin kind of puts forth its kind of reason for being, and it can get popular. There are some coins that are like designed to kind of anonymize you and your transaction. So if you were doing something you didn't want anybody to see, you could send it into this other coin, and it'll get all mixed up, and then it's not as easy to track
Kinda
where
like
stuff went.
Bitcoin laundering, crypto laundering ish.
Yeah. Have you heard of any? I haven't heard of that in particular, but I know.
I mean, not that it's like you're getting it illegally, but you don't want it.
Yeah, I know the federal government's always looking for that.
Yeah.
They have task force that are monitoring it and looking for illegal activity. So I wouldn't do it if I were you.
We watched that one short documentary from that lady that worked at the task force for blockchain or cryptocurrency money laundering, and she said,
Yeah, I forget if it was Department of Justice or something like that she was.
and the conclusion was it happens so little, as in the amount of people using cryptocurrency to do illicit things, the number is so low. So the argument, she actually left that. She started liking cryptocurrency so much, she actually left her job to get into a cryptocurrency job. So
So to catch the bad guy, she had to get so good at it and understand it all.
Yeah.
And then she was like, hey,
That's kind of cool.
yeah, and then she went to work for crypto companies and do legitimate work. So
Good thing she didn't work for the DEA. It's a drug dealing thing is great.
Yes.
To answer my angle on my perspective on your question, you said, is it like stocks and people, the interest of people will affect the price? I think that's very true in the sense of, say, Elon Musk, when he started tweeting about Dogecoin, and
Yeah.
all that interest jumped up the price. I mean, it's up to 10 cents now, which before I think it was sub penny only a few months ago. So you're talking about 10x in like 6 months or something. And
Because of a tweet. Yeah.
yeah. So
Or
in that
several.
sense, it's very much like stocks, where the entire market cap of that coin is dictated by the last sell value, like stocks is. So if there's 1,000 shares of something and someone sold the last share for $1, so that's 1,000 market cap for that. But if someone sold the last coin for $2, then it'd be a $2,000 market cap. It multiplies the value at the last price. That makes sense.
Yeah. The most recent
Does.
sale sets the value for every piece of ownership.
And I think when people think so many people have told me through the years, because I'm like a cheerleader for cryptocurrency, like buy.
I think you should do a video of that.
Yeah. A 10-hour loop.
Yes.
I'll make it an NTF and sell it, and NFT and sell it. What was I going to say?
It's a whole nother topic.
People keep on telling me year after year, month after month, or whatever, is it too late to get in cryptocurrency? And most of them are saying, yes, it's too late. And I'm like, no, I think we're at a fraction of available money to go in. Now, will every dollar in the world go into cryptocurrency? I don't think so, but I actually think it's possible. I don't think humans will do it. But even if right now, one of the best analysis that I saw online on some Reddit thread, so take it with a grain of salt. This guy was looking at a bunch of numbers. I read through it, and he said 0.16 of the world's wealth is in cryptocurrency. And when stocks is the multiplication of the last sold value to the coins is the market cap. So I think for every dollar that goes into cryptocurrency, it almost seems like $100 kind of win it, sort of. Because you're multiplying the last purchase price by the entire quantity of coins. So meaning I would actually take that 0.16 and bring it down a couple magnitudes. So probably, I said I didn't explain that very well. So if everyone pulls out a cryptocurrency right now, I don't think we would. Right now, the market cap is $2.2 trillion
Of the whole crypto market?
Yeah,
Or?
the entire. I might be wrong on that. I think it's 2.2 trillion.
Let's say there's $2 trillion of cryptocurrency.
Yeah, if everyone were to sell right now, everyone hated cryptocurrency. We found a flaw in RSA encryption, and everyone sells. We're not going to get $2 trillion out of that, because as everyone's selling, the value goes down. It just plummets. So we probably only get 20 billion. I don't know that. That's just my theory. So you're talking about 100x difference on that. So that other person that did that calculation of 0.16, bring that down a few notches. That's how much of the world's wealth is actually in cryptocurrency. So I think cryptocurrency could go up massively. If we're not even at 1%, so it could go up 10,000% in my opinion. But
Yeah, so you're saying the market cap number that people put on cryptocurrency is not the actual money that people traded to turn it into cryptocurrency.
Yeah, because the value is not what's in there. It's the last. Okay.
Yeah.
That actually makes more sense.
Yeah, like most likely your personal value or holding of Bitcoin right now is larger than the actual dollars you put in
That's a good
to
way
get
to put
that.
Mm-hmm.
It at that time you traded across, but now it's worth this much. But you didn't put more dollars in.
Right.
So
if, for example, like if you put in $200 back then in Bitcoin, I'm guessing from then and now it's probably a 10x or a 20x. So let's just say it's a 20x. So you probably have $4,000 in that account right now, but you only put in 200.
Mhm.
So that's kind
Just
of
because of the growth.
yeah.
And then so like if you own 5 Liem coins and you bought them at
I don't know.
and you paid $2 each for them, right?
yeah.
And then you buy some, that would increase the value just because you're buying more.
well, if I
Kind
bought at the higher price, because I could choose what price to buy it at. If someone's willing to sell at that higher or lower price,
So it's a supply and demand thing. If there's
Okay.
yeah.
Because there's like a finite amount, right? Ish,
for,
depending on which one.
for a true
Most cryptocurrencies have a finite amount.
Mm-hmm.
it gets a little bit more complicated, but yes, they're in the code for the quick answer. Cryptocurrency, it's written in the code, and there's a finite amount. And if it's not a finite amount, it's a good amount that's in there that you can't just print out like crazy, like the US dollar.
Yeah, so it's not subject to like inflation.
There is some code that does work with inflationary things, but not to the level of what the US is doing.
Okay.
But it's all agreed upon by the miners and the community. So it's like Ethereum has supposedly an inflation. I actually don't know enough about this. There's supposedly an inflationary thing that the miners in the community can have more Ethereum in the end, but it's not going to be like, is it 100 million Ethereum? It's not going to jump to 700 million. There's a limit.
And it won't outpace the demand growth,
Mhm.
as far as we can see.
Is there any holes that you see in cryptocurrency, or anything that you would want to ask about, or anything that you? I think to me, when I talk to people, I find that the biggest thing is that they can't trust it. And I'm not saying that just about you, but I think I see that in a lot of people. So do you have any questions on trust wise?
I mean, you've answered a lot of the trust questions for me. I think a lot of that trust, again, just because it's so intangible, you know. And for me, I'm also kind of like a computer moron. It's not very user friendly for me.
No, it's not.
So I have like 3 or 4 different places where like I've bought cryptocurrency and like I have no idea what I have where, how to like consolidate it, anything like that. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that are in kind of a similar situation, like, oh, hey, my friend said I should buy these things, and so I did, and now I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just going to delete that app and whatever.
Oh, don't delete the app.
No, don't delete the app. Don't do that. So I think, yeah, for me, it's not, and I don't know if that's just because it's not mainstream enough. I don't know if that's just an ignorance on my part that it just doesn't seem very user friendly.
That's how early we are in cryptocurrency, I think.
You are 100% correct. It's not very user friendly.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is like the Model A is rolling out,
Yes.
Yeah.
and we just got to like figure it out, and eventually we'll get to like hands free.
Yeah.
Okay.
You will think, and the monkey will dance.
we earlier today, me and Emma were talking about, I thought that the Samsung S10 rolling out the cryptocurrency wallets built into the phone, I thought that was going to have some type of like, just, it would help bring cryptocurrency to the masses easier. And I haven't seen it really help anything. So it's unfortunate, just however people view cryptocurrency, or what I haven't used, oh, I thought I'm like hearing stuff, but sorry, I'll cut that out. Here, actually, I want to use my mark.
Oh.
If
For
you say
the
something-
viewers, he's got this fancy mixing board down there. It looks like an electronic DJ. You know.
Yeah. No, it does. I want to put some like Boots and Cats beats in there.
If you
We can get the Liem dance going on.
if you say something you want deleted, let me know and I'll press the marker, and then hopefully later it's easier for me to find that segment to remove. Anyway,
Fuck monkey balls.
I'm not removing that. I thought the wallet on the Samsung thing would bring mass or adoption of some sort. I didn't see it really go anywhere. I don't remember where I was going with this point. We're so early.
Making it user friendly.
Yeah. I think we're just so early with cryptocurrency. I mean, even the government has trouble with a lot of things, but
Yeah, they do.
they don't even know how to deal with cryptocurrency. So it's making it harder for the common person to like even want to jump into cryptocurrency, because if the government's kind of saying, oh, cryptocurrency has too many illicit things on there, then it's going to make a lot of people not want to buy cryptocurrency. So that's an unfortunate thing that we're so early, but I think that's a good thing for investors like me.
Yeah, it seems like if you have a solid understanding of like coding, programming, then it's just kind of like, well, duh, this is a thing. And, you know, the rest of us are like,
I will credit Coinbase for probably being the leader right now for making it easy for Americans to download the app and figure out some way to buy cryptocurrency and have some.
Yeah.
And then you're starting to see it on other mainstream things like PayPal. You can buy cryptocurrency through PayPal. So how many millions of Americans already have PayPal? So they already trust it.
Yeah.
It's very easy for them to, like if you go to the PayPal page right now, it's pretty prominent on their page. Buy some Bitcoin or buy some Ethereum or whatever. So it's easy for people to do it that way. So whatever avenue they find that they trust, it gives more adoption and more easy access to it.
When I think, isn't one of the big banks doing something with that? Or no, I just make that up?
I heard
the banks are very aware of it, and they're doing a lot of things to prepare for next year, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. I'm not aware of any like major bank that you can go to your bank account and buy cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm just like, I'd like to withdraw my bit of coin.
Yes. So if you're a bank, then you should worry a little bit about this alternate currency, right? Because you're embedded in a system that doesn't have that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Wall Street money is moving that way. I see a lot of news articles about that. And then a lot of big corporations are buying giant chunks of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So Tesla famously recently. So we're in what, April of 2021. So recently Tesla just, because I know people are going to be watching this
months
20 years from now.
Yeah. Be like, they were right.
I knew stuff.
No, we're kind of on, like, I'm on a 2-month release because I have so many podcasts done. So it's like 2 months later that this may show up. But
We're going to have to take out that April part.
It's a good reference to know.
What are we right now? July?
2016. Buy some Bitcoin. I think JP Morgan, from the news that I heard, you probably didn't
Chase
see
Bank,
it.
yeah.
I still don't fully understand. I think they're using some type of quorum, which is an Ethereum. I don't know if they took Ethereum code to build their own blockchain, and I heard this quorum thing for many years, actually. So I don't know what they did something more. I just don't know exactly what it is. And the crypto community is like, oh, JP Morgan's even going to, they're getting more in bed with Ethereum. And actually the theory is that next move that they did forces them or causes them to want to go to Ethereum mainnet, meaning the actual Ethereum coin. Where if you have quorum, it's just Ethereum, your private Ethereum chain where you control. It's a centralized coin. It's their own coin and their own servers. But supposedly the Reddit community is like, JP Morgan's going to go to Ethereum. So that's their thing. But Reddit community, online stuff. So how much can you trust it?
They're a hyper crowd, the Reddit gang.
Yeah.
Oh, that Reddit crowd.
Wall Street bets.
Yeah.
GameStop.
So understanding and trusting new technology, is that part of the barrier?
Probably.
So I would equate it to the early days of the internet, right? Like nowadays we readily enter our credit card info. I just ordered some Papa John's pizza. I just ordered some pizza yesterday and easily typed in my credit card info and didn't worry about it too much. But you go back in time, there was a time where, like, are you insane? Why would you put your credit card info on the internet somehow? So there's a slow building of security and trust, right?
I would think that also connects with the thought of how early we are in cryptocurrency, because if I'm saying cryptocurrency, potentially we're in 1994 of the internet, So you put in your credit card information yesterday.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency will, I don't know how many years out, but it seems like cryptocurrency itself is stuck in, or currently at 1994. Eventually, we're going to get the super easy things to pay for Papa John's through some online thingy. Eventually, we'll get there to the point where you could pay for Uber Eats with cryptocurrency, but we're not exactly there yet for the masses.
I mean, we currently log into our bank account on our phone, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't actually. I do have my credit card number saved on there. So like, yeah, just ordering stuff and
I always choose not to save my credit card number, and then oftentimes Google will save it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I said no every time.
It's like, shh, trust us.
Oh, it's fucking like Amazon Prime for me. I every time when I buy something and it says, do you want to sign up for Amazon Prime? I swear I hit no every freaking time.
Yeah.
Twice in the last 4 years, it's like somehow come up. Yeah. And I have to call support and be like, hey, what the fuck? Like, how did you guys trick me? And I swear I hit no every fucking time.
They move the button real quick.
Yeah.
And then I end up I don't check my bank account, maybe till like 3 months later because I'm lame like that. I'm not good on my finances. So all of a sudden I see 3 months worth.
You're too busy looking at the future.
Yeah. I see 3 months of Amazon Prime. I'm like, fuck those motherfuckers.
This whole time.
Yeah. So currently we do so much financial stuff on the internet and through our phones. We're buying stuff on Amazon. We're banking. We're sending money through Zelle Pay, Venmo, Cash App. So our whole lives and our whole information world, I think that's much bigger than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
So it's weird to me that there's some resistance to this next step. Because not you, but we say we don't understand it. It's new. I don't get it. Mm-hmm. But we've accepted all these other new things up to this point. So why is there a special barrier here? I mean, maybe it's just the name. I mean, maybe because Zelle doesn't mean anything or Venmo doesn't mean anything, but cryptocurrency sounds kind of
cryptic.
Yeah, sounds sketchy. I mean,
I think there's like what are those graphs where they like merge and stuff, like where the ease of use, it becomes so easy to use that it's just kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, people buy
like that'll
stocks
outweigh the fear of whatever.
I would think certainly generationally, like my parents will never dip their toes anywhere near that, just because, not because they're even scared or don't want to, they're just not in their world. They're stuck in a different world. And then anybody in a younger generation than me, they just turned 20 or whatever, turned 25, and they accept everything that's on their cell phone, and they've, something like online banking is new to them anyway. Mm-hmm. So whatever you tell them, it's all new, and they trust it. It's not a new weird thing.
Yeah.
So I think that acceptance definitely comes generationally.
If I were to tell you that I think you should put in, I'm going to throw a little bit of a random number. I think you should put $5,000 into cryptocurrency for investment and hold it for 7 to 10 years.
This show is not financial advice.
Don't listen to me. I'm a stupid, dumb shit.
Not financial advice.
And I'm not giving you financial advice, but put $5,000.
If I were you.
So fucking cat currency.
What pops up in your head if I were to tell you you should put in $5,000 and hold it for the next 10 years in cryptocurrency? Are you thinking, damn, that's a lot of money, or I don't trust cryptocurrency that much? What just pops up in your mind?
I'm more just like I'm impatient. Like 10 years. I don't want to wait that long. But that's stocks, that's real estate, that's everything.
Yeah.
Let
me tell you my theory on the 5,000. I don't know if I think 5.
I mean, that's several car payments.
I gotta see your car. Huh? I gotta see your car.
Oh, it's out there.
If things, I theorize potential 5,000 now in 10 years is retirement money in 10 years. Which I think realistically from, the trend and everything, I think that's very realistic.
So think of it as a slow lottery ticket.
Slow. Very slow. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no. I don't know about lottery ticket there. Like, it's got to be the winning lottery ticket is the thing.
It'll probably win.
I think with decentralized cryptocurrency that it can't die out, but yes, humans may not choose to use it, but because it's so revolutionary, so innovative, I think it's heading in that direction. So I try to suggest all friends to cheer buy crypto.
But not financial advice.
Yeah, don't listen to me.
This is gambling advice.
I try to tell my friends to try to put in as much disposable income that they can into it. Because I just don't. Well, it's the best investment that I've put in way better than 401k. I mean, even better than a house.
Well, it is accessible. I mean, you can't just like, oh, I'm going to buy part of a house for $5,000. Like you can't really, and see what happens with that investment, and the stock market, over time is always going to go up, but there's a lot of volatility. And so it seems like.
That's an interesting concept that me and you have never, I don't think it's accessible.
Did I just blow your mind? But it is. I mean, you can put $5 in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And just kind of like see what happens. And if you lose it, it's $5. And if you don't, then that's cool.
If you really want to buy part of a house, you could buy some stock in an REIT, which is a real estate investment trust.
But for most, like the average layperson, they either don't know about that or they don't,
Yeah.
It just seems more accessible, even though it's difficult to work with. Like you can't. Yeah. I mean, you could, I suppose, in theory, put like $5 into a.
I would say today it's as easy as something like Robinhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your Coinbase app or your PayPal or whatever avenue, there's probably a dozen avenues that are fairly easy.
Yeah.
To buy cryptocurrency with. In fact, here in Las Vegas, the Terrible's gas stations all have.
Oh yeah, they have like crypto ATMs or something.
Yeah. So
remember 4-5 years ago, we were looking into getting some of those.
To operating ATM machines.
That was a fun little side project, even though it didn't go far, but it was just really fun to kind of learn about the cost to rent that 1 foot by 1 foot, 2 foot by 2 foot space. And then,
I'm trying to remember what stopped us in the end. We went pretty far down that road.
I remember sending an inquiry to a company in Germany that produced those. We were looking because there's so many different ones. There's ones that have a lot of features, other ones that were like quicker, other ones that was like more secure, as in the actual hardware was tough for someone to break open with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
And then there's so many features. And then the one that we found in, I think, Germany, like the price was like a lot of them were, I think, $12,000 or $15,000, and the one in Germany was like $4,000 or something.
Yeah.
And then I think it was that, if I remember where we stopped was, you'd have to go talk to a lot of like bars and or convenience stores and get that contract to get okayed. And it was just
to rent the location to put your machine, or get the permission to put your machine there.
But I would imagine we would have went deeper. So I don't remember exactly something in there stopped us, I think.
I think there was also some like regulatory financial paperwork. Like the state of Nevada has rules where if you're operating an ATM, there's some banking rules where you gotta all this identification checking, and then you have to check the identification of the people using it to make sure that terrorists are not funding activities through this. There was a lot of stuff like that was kind of like bureaucracy.
And that's where you thought about creating your own bank, because the money that comes out of the bank, anything related to cryptocurrency at that time, you're not allowed to store that money in the bank because the government says it's not legal money or something. Mm-hmm. So that means any money that you pull out of your ATM that you just made profit on, you have to like bring it home and put it under your bed. And that's just not a good thing to do.
Are we not supposed to do that?
You sleep on a hoard of cash?
Is that bad? Because it's flammable.
Yes.
I get it. Okay.
I think also another thing we were thinking about was like people put cash in and receive their Bitcoin or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But the Bitcoin's digital. So really in the real world, cash only goes into this machine. And so we were thinking about, well, shit, if you have to empty this thing, are we packing heat and going at strategic times to go clear the cash out of the thing?
Do you go the armored truck route, or do you go the incognito route?
Yeah.
You know, just walking with like a Jack in the Box bag and be like, nothing in here.
Not that stopped
burger.
us, but it was a thing to think about and consider.
You'd want to roll in full SWAT just to look
Yeah,
cool.
just armored up and
That'd be awesome.
And then one of the other train of thoughts, or one of the other thoughts that we had was just we were looking at crypto and how many the X factor, how many magnitudes it could grow. We're just like, well,
I think that's what stopped us.
If we spend, I forget if we talked about buying 3 of those machines. So we're looking at $15,000 or something.
Yeah.
And so we're like 15,000. We should buy 15,000 in Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever. And just you see the chart going up like crazy. So
yeah, we figured we could make more money just by buying cryptocurrency instead of operating some complicated ATM route.
That makes sense.
I think that's what did it in the end.
This would be more profitable.
So similarly, Liem has operated some mining rigs. Is this info you don't want?
no, that's fine.
He's such a computer nerd that he wanted to do a mining rig, which is one of the machines with the graphics cards that processes transactions, and you basically get fees for every transaction you do. So we put some money into that, and he built the rigs and got it all set up. It's a lot of programming stuff to get it to work right, and we made some cryptocurrency, and then a couple years down the line, you look at it and go, well, this is how much cryptocurrency we made on the miner. If we had taken the money we had spent to buy all the parts and just bought cryptocurrency, we would have made more money.
About 600% more.
Yeah, without all the work.
But now you know, and you had a fun bonding experience. And really, I mean, you can't put a price on friendship.
Life's about money, man.
No, you're right.
So back to if I told you $5,000, put it in, what other thoughts?
So what am I doing tonight with my $5,000?
More so, what's your thoughts?
It's better than sleeping on it. Come on.
I don't know. It's comfy. It's that crinkle noise. Yeah, just swim in it.
So for $5,000, well, yeah, $5,000. What comes to mind? I'm not gonna pitch you after the show, but it's just I'm curious on what. I think I plan on asking
what a normal person thinks when you.
Yeah, any guest that comes on the show, I'm probably going to ask that. That's what I'm thinking.
Why aren't you putting 5,000 in right now?
No,
right now, open up that Coinbase app.
What thoughts are going
yes.
through your mind that if I said, I really think you should put $5,000 into cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I think logically it makes sense. Again, for me, it's like where do I start? Do I buy Bitcoin? Do I buy other things like
Ethereum?
There is a lot of volatility, and so to watch like, oh, that was, my 5K that Liem told me to put in here, and like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell people a smaller amount?
I feel like 5K is enough to make the viewers kind of cringe or something.
It is a little cringeworthy.
Oh, you're playing to the camera, you son of a bitch.
The thing that
I think you should put in 5,200.
With the volatility, like as we see the history of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, the graph is up over time. Now, yes, there's going to be dips. There's going to be potentially some really big dips, but if you wait, that's why I said 7 to 10 years. If you wait, it's usually going to be up by a massive amount. So that's why I say the 7 to 10 years. I do suggest, because I think 100% of the people I told to buy and hold, they all sold 100%, and I've probably affected well over. So I've probably affected directly, probably around 60 people. $4 billion? No.
4 or 5. I'm just kidding.
And I think out of those 60 people, I want to say on average have gotten 1 to 2 people to buy. So I've affected quite a few people.
Like you tell this dude, he does it, and then he tells his buddy.
Yeah.
You're like a virus.
Yeah. And all of them have sold. I told all the 60 that I've talked to, I said, hold for 5. At that time, I told them 5 to 7 years, but I'm changing it to 7 to 10 because I see how humans are. They can't even hold the 5 years. So I'll just decide to say 7 to 10. Maybe they'll change their mind or something. So that's the volatility. Just if you see it, if you're the type of person that can't handle that, because I've sat through a 90% drop. Like I put in, well, it went.
Did you cry?
I'm not going to say that on the air. I put in a certain amount, and then it went up quite a bit. And then it dropped 90%, but I was still up. But it was just harsh to see it drop 90%. So I tell people that if they can't handle it, I tell them just don't look at it. Buy, hold, friggin' if you can somehow delete that app off your phone and just like don't look at the value.
But you're not supposed to delete the app.
Don't lose your password.
Don't lose the email address and the password. So then just don't log in, and then wait 7 to 10 years, and hopefully by that time it's like
I bet with
retired.
human psychology, it's easier to give them smaller amounts and shorter time frames. I think it's harder for people to commit to larger amounts and longer time frames.
But short time, as in like the way we look at cryptocurrency, I mean, you don't get those magnitudes of 16,000x or 20,000x unless you wait that 5, 7, 10 years.
Yeah. So you put a condition on it, like, look here, put in $1,000 and talk to me in 1 year. If it has doubled in value, you should take my advice at that point. If it loses money, I don't care what you do with it. If it's making more money than your other investments, we should talk about it. Right? Because those are all very compelling.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this is outperforming my 401k, my stocks, and my real estate, I don't know any other way to invest. So
Legos.
What's that? Legos? Yeah.
Legos.
So if it's running away with the prize,
mm-hmm.
then let's talk about putting more in instead of. But so the human nature is like, holy cow, I put in 1,000 and now it's 1,500. I'm gonna cash it out.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Well, we want the reward.
Yeah.
Reward.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the same type of people that struggle with the stock market. I mean, we know that over time,
mm-hmm.
you dump 5,000 and now in 10 years, it's going to be significantly more regardless of the ups and downs. Same with the housing market. Mm-hmm. It's always going to be increased over time.
13,604. I'm just kidding. You're 5,000 over 10 years in the stock market.
Trying to do maths.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just estimating.
Yeah. That's freaking like 2 weeks in cryptocurrency land.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at like
bold promises. Man.
Had you dumped 5,000 and 10 years ago, what would that be now?
Oh,
that would be ridiculous.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just buy an island.
Couple islands, yeah.
Well, island and like a lot of Ferraris to like drive around the island.
Lambos and Ferraris, yes.
And those golf carts that look like Ferraris. I would say that the mistrust or the apprehension about it is still strange. I mean, I get it; it's natural, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people trust the dollar inherently. It's been around a long time, so maybe that's what gives us our trust in say U.S. dollars.
Yeah,
we know U.S. dollars.
It's tangible. I mean, the dollar itself is a concept, but we have like this tangible. What do they call it? It's not like an actual. It's the note that we have, the dollar note. It's the representation of it that we have that's tangible. And I think that's a lot easier for people to digest that, I have $10, I can see them, I can touch them.
But most money is not cash now, right?
Right.
Like, we'll say somebody
97%, I think.
But we still conceptualize it as, if I have 10,000 in savings, I'm imagining that I have a stack. Like somewhere in a bank, they have a 10,000 cash that is mine, which obviously is not the thing, but that's how we think of it. Like I have this thing that's mine.
So that's what it is. People think they understand cash, but I don't think they understand how much they don't understand.
Yeah, because cash is essentially, I mean, it's a similar concept, right? It's not like...
Yeah. I mean, the difference is it is backed by the U.S. government.
Yeah.
There's a security
But it's not like
there.
the U.S. government has my $10,000 sitting over here with my name on it. Like, oh, this is Renee's money. And she'll just come and get it when she needs it.
I mean, you're touching on the fractional reserve system. So if you understand the fractional reserve system, or if you understand treasury bonds, or if you understand inflation, or if you did really well in macroeconomics, right? So for most Americans, these answers are no, right? So, but here's an illustration. Like anybody who finishes college today probably grew up with debit cards and cell phones, and then you want to carry cash. But they get their first job and their paycheck goes electronically to their bank and it's on their debit card, and then they'll connect it to their phone and they'll pay for stuff with their phone, and it's all digital, it's all intangible, and they don't want to touch a quarter. So it's transitioning to digital money. Digital money is easily accepted, I guess, if you ground it in that physical dollar.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
Well, and that makes sense. And what you're talking about, like the generational gap too. You know, if I'm used to paying for everything with bills and coins, then it's going to be really hard for me to think about just paying with something.
Yeah.
With just digitally, and not even a credit card. Just like, oh, here's my phone and here's some things and
yeah, I'm gonna tap my
numbers
phone
and things.
here.
But if you're used to that anyway.
Yeah, I was having an interesting talk with some people the other day, and it was a similar subject, but I don't know how we ended up at this, but I got to like, well, say if you had 20 Australian dollars, that's real money, right? Okay, so if we ate and I was going to pay you for my part of the dinner, and I go, hey, I'm going to send some money to your phone. Do you want me to send you 20 Australian dollars or $20 worth of Bitcoin? So what would you pick?
Are we in Australia? Or
No, we're here.
Okay, then no.
You go, well, what if I got 20 Australian cash dollars? Would you take that?
What am I going to do with it?
Yeah, so it's weird because that's real money,
Yeah.
but it's actually really hard to spend. You'd have to go to the airport and exchange it at a window and lose part
For
of
a
it.
fee.
Yeah, for a steep fee. But otherwise, it's virtually useless. So there's already hundreds of currencies we can't use. But in a weird way, cryptocurrency is more usable here. If I sent you $20 worth of Bitcoin on your phone, you could go to overstock.com and buy something, and it'll arrive at your door conceivably the next day.
Or I can just hold on to it and watch it grow.
Yes.
So to me, it's weird that people have this desire. The same person will be wary of buying it. But if I say, hey, if I want to send you something, like, yeah, I'd like that. Like, well, then you must see some value in it.
It beats your Australian $20.
Right. Right.
Those are my only options, you know?
So to me, that kind of clarified one point of what is money and what is currency. It's whether or not somebody else will trade you something for it.
Yeah.
Like if I can spend it on something and somebody will give me something for it, then it must be money.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know where to go from there. I mean, Liem bought a stupid belt on overstock.com.
Oh, is that where that came from?
About 3 years ago.
It was, how much was it?
Overstock's a great website, and they were very early in accepting cryptocurrency as payment. It was one of the first places you could buy stuff
Yeah.
with cryptocurrency.
I'm trying to remember what, I want to say 0.5 of an ETH? So nowadays it's $1,000. That would have been $1,000 belt, but back then it was
I think
it was $25.
a $25 belt.
I don't remember. I forget.
I think it was a $25 belt, and we did the calculation. Now it'd be worth like $600 something.
But I mean, it's gone up since that email.
Since then, yeah.
Since that email, it's already gone up. So it's probably $1,000 belt by now.
The ironic thing is he didn't like the belt. It was ugly, and he's worn it twice.
Expensive belt.
Part of it was at that time when Overstock was saying, hey, we're accepting cryptocurrencies. I was like, hey, I want to buy something just to say that this cryptocurrency is usable, because so many people are saying
It was a vote with your currency.
so I guess it was getting
Just making a statement.
Yeah.
it was getting under my skin because I was such a cheerleader. Buy. And so many people would say like, what do you do with that cryptocurrency? What can you buy with that cryptocurrency? I could hold this dollar here, but I can't hold a cryptocurrency. I'm like, well, it's
Hold this
fiat.
belt, motherfucker.
I'm gonna beat you with this belt. So it was getting under my skin. So I think I just wanted to buy something buy something to just show evidence that I was able to buy a belt.
Can you add a counter on the video of how many times you do the cheerleading dance? Ding, 5. Ding, 6.
It's not enough to
I've
do
been pushing the button. You just haven't seen.
Delete that.
it's not
Or-
enough to do the drinking game that people do for YouTube when there's a person that says a certain word too much.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
drink to that.
No, we're just going to put it on the 10-hour loop. That's all.
It's a lot of drinking.
Yeah. You should try to get a refund and say, hey, can I Can I have my Ethereum back? I don't like this belt.
Yeah, maybe that'll work.
What's your return policy
Suddenly Overstock is bankrupt.
on that transaction?
Refunds. That'd be interesting when
The value changes?
Yeah.
So there is a stability to U.S. money that it's generally worth about the same. We do have inflation where it's worth maybe 2% less each year. But that 2% is something that we're used to, and we kind of don't notice it. And that's part of what Liem's complaining about with candy bars, is that you used to be able to buy a candy bar for $1, but as the value of the dollar decreases, you can buy fewer candy bars, but candy bars cost more. Like they're $1.50 now for a smaller candy bar than we grew up with.
And that's everything, because then everything like candy bars to a car that used to be in my time like 15,000, and now you can barely get, like, you got to be around 30,000 to get a decent car, it seems like.
Yeah.
So it's just
brand new.
And what you said before, salaries haven't doubled since the price of cars have doubled. So
salaries do not keep pace with inflation, and that's something I saw very early on in my accounting studies, because I grew up not poor, but my parents grew up poor, and so I grew up very frugal. And to me, going to college was to get a better job, and accounting this is a very secure way to get a job. But in those studies, I'm looking at money all the time, right? And you 6 years of accounting because I was enjoying it.
Scenic route.
Yes. Yeah. Well, at San Diego State, that was actually ahead of the average. It's average 7.5 at that time to finish San Diego. It was kind of a party school. Not that I was partying much, but I saw very early on that, hey, stuff costs more and more. So like in, whatever the numbers are, like in the 1950, you could buy a car for like $3,000 and you could buy a house for like 16,000. And then the average wage back then might have been like $20,000, or some in those ballparks, right? And then you go, well, stuff's multiplying up, but our wages aren't keeping up with that. So now it takes 3 years of salary for me to buy a car. And it's like, that doesn't make sense, so it's a weird
conundrum.
So if you study a lot of macroeconomics, you can explain it all, and then it sucks because we can't change it.
Yeah.
Because we're not the lawmakers who are getting lobbied by big money.
Well, I guess that brings up, like, for me, when we're talking about the value of cryptocurrency, we're comparing that value to the US dollar and considering that the value. So if the US dollar is always devaluing, what does that do for the value of cryptocurrency?
So far the rapid increase in cryptocurrency values is far outpacing any comparative devaluation of the US dollar.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to notice the little minus when there's a very big plus.
Yeah. Is that something that you see might be an issue in the future, or is that like the end of the universe future that we're not worried about? It seems like obviously in the short term, like it is growing exponentially, but at some point it's going to not be growing that exponentially.
Okay, so if this answers your question, I do believe that there will be a plateau. That's just my theory. So we will get so much money into cryptocurrencies eventually, where like right now, what was the most recent one? I think Tesla buying 1.5 billion of.
I think Walmart announced they were going to buy some giant hoard of Bitcoin.
So when we see that happen, the market goes up not just 1.5; it goes up like tens or tens of billions of dollars. Now, I think there'll be a point where those $1 billion purchases aren't going to fluctuate the market. So I don't know how long till we get there. So if that answers your question, I think there's a point where there's a plateau, and hopefully at that time, everybody will agree that a candy bar is at 0.0001 of ETH, which is complicated, but maybe we'll find some type of system that makes it easier, where they flip the number where it's.
I think for most normal people, we're just going to mentally keep converting to dollars because I'm 44, so there's 40 years of me thinking about dollars.
Yeah.
Right? Even though it's changing slowly.
Yeah, because it's still, where the yardstick that we're comparing it to is slightly moving target, I guess.
The closest concern I heard from somebody that seems somewhat plausible or something in that realm was this guy said, at some point, most people will have cryptocurrency. And if it's still growing, then we're all getting richer. And so that will cause a price inflation. If we can all afford Lamborghinis, well, then they'll just raise the prices of cars to be commensurate with all of our increased wealth.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that works in an economic sense, if you do the math on it, but it's hard because you never know human behavior, how that will affect the prediction.
I would theorize that at that time when that plateau hits, I mean, I could see some type of inflation on like a Lamborghini or a chocolate bar. But
those are extreme ends.
but
still same.
Yeah. Equivalent.
But that plateau will, it would even out. I don't see in that, if that guy was saying that all prices will continue to inflate all the time, things will have to even out. And that's the beauty. I think the beauty of cryptocurrency, where you can't print, it has to hit some equilibrium. I theorize, because if everything just keeps inflating and everybody's able to buy a yacht, that system doesn't work. They can't even produce enough yachts to feed 7 billion people or to give 7 billion yachts to everybody. So there is a natural.
That'd be a shitty place to start.
Wait, to start life, to have a yacht?
No, like if you're in Uganda and somebody offers you a yacht, you're like, hey, well, that's cool, but I kind of wanted a nice house or like some cheeseburgers first.
Like to have not have typhoid first. Work on that. No, yacht. You get a yacht.
So I think with supply and demand, even on
here
on the yacht, it would have to even out. There was some equilibrium that would work. So I don't see that guy's argument on that. I think he's just thinking somehow that's the early beginning people have so much value because they bought cryptocurrency so early, and he keeps on looking at it. I'm theorizing he's not looking at all the people that sold early and people that are jumping back in later and they lost the value, and that I think that there's going to be a plateau. There's going to be so much money in that when you put in $1, it's not going to even phase the cryptocurrency market. Or freaking Walmart, if they bought $800 million worth of Bitcoin, that 800 million at that time later when the plateau happens, it's not going to phase cryptocurrency market cap. I theorize.
I wonder if it'll be more akin to real estate, where like if you were here in the colonial days, you could have made the Louisiana purchase for $73 or something. And so you buy half a continent for some ridiculously small amount. And then at some point, you can go out and buy, 20 acres or 100 acres for some reasonable person's amount. But as more and more people populate, the value of each piece of land goes up. But in some way, most people can afford some house or something. I mean, that seems to be rapidly accelerating also. So in the end, it becomes a supply and demand. So housing is more expensive than we would like it to be. But somehow people in California still come up with ways to buy $1 million houses.
They're still.
Yeah. I mean, I really.
Still coming out here.
Yeah. But you need, like, if you're in, say, San Diego, you need 2 good incomes and a big chunk of help from your parents to buy a starter home. So it's a massive thing where people still do it. So is it more advantageous to do it in the past? Of course, right? So I don't know where that ends for something like the 3 appreciating assets that I know, real estate, stock market, or cryptocurrency. Because, I mean, effectively for real estate and stock market, they've been around for all of modern times since before we were all born. So where does it go? I don't know. So I can't imagine cryptocurrency being too different in its ultimate valuation, in that there will always be some growth, maybe.
Yeah, I see that, especially on the genie's out of the bottle. You can't turn it off. It could potentially dip if enough humans decide that it's worthless and not usable and too difficult to use. But it's so innovative. I don't see it how it doesn't get used. Like,
I think that'll be the big thing, is the first big use case, the first thing that people want to use it for, which I guess so far is just as money. Because you can go buy a Tesla. If you have a Tesla worth of Bitcoin, you can go trade some Bitcoin and they'll give you a Model X. I don't know. Is this interesting for you?
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's actually helpful.
I'm gauging you as, is this interesting for the audience?
Oh, hopefully. I don't know. They're just kind of like staring at me looking confused.
Okay.
that's
Seeing the light
interesting.
bulb
I go the route if I find it's interesting that you're evaluating the content that way. I think of it, if I personally think it has of any value, it's weird.
Yeah.
Of any value, I think, because the YouTube is such a broad audience.
I noticed it was weird that like if I look at the views on your videos, it looks like the one where you did with the guy about smoking too much weed, and it was cannabinoid hyperemesis or something, and that one seemed to have a lot more views than other things that were more interesting to me. But that seemed to, maybe that's an underserved topic.
Yeah.
that
people are searching and ending up there or something. I don't know, or attracting attention somehow.
Yeah, well, it's also extra relevant now. I think just that it's legal more
So
places.
much dope smoking's happening.
Oh, yeah, right. Drive down the freeway and it's like, oh,
Smog. Not smog.
somebody run over a skunk. Oh, okay.
I actually was really looking forward to meeting you and talking to you because of the podcast that Liem has done.
Yeah,
You guys seemed like you were having some of the most fun. And
we really were.
Yeah. You were one of the more energetic and just joyous people to watch. So
Yeah,
I'm delighted to.
I definitely did not come straight from work that day.
Yeah, there is certain conversations when the podcast that I do where the guests they talk about their craft and their experience, and I find it really interesting, but yet I can't jump in. It's not that I want them to stop speaking, actually, but it's just that dynamic. And maybe me and Renee have that joking manner. Maybe it's mostly her, because I don't know. I think I feel like I'm too.
Well, like I'm a fucking clown.
I'm a clown too. I'm just here for your amusement.
I kind of feel like I'm too serious sometimes, and I don't know. Maybe Renee was able to bring the joking out of me.
Well, we kind of talked about that too. Like you thinking that? I'm sorry, I'm psychoanalyzing you right now. I can't turn it off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just
No,
it's
go for
always
it.
there.
Go for it.
That was one of the things that we had talked about, was like the perception that you're too serious, and yeah, and there's just that's
There's
who
one,
you are.
Actually, I think Emmett shares. There's something that I remembered where you asked me where I don't like to watch people get pranked, really, or people fall.
Yeah, because
She
I
likes
like to watch.
She likes to watch children fall.
Who doesn't? Aside from him,
It's
funny.
Is there a qualification that they can't get seriously injured?
Well, I mean, serious injury is not funny either way, but kids are mostly just like bouncy and rubber, and like they fall down and it's funny, especially like if there's a cat involved. Like there's this video of this kid, like, I don't know, like just started walking and they're like just trucking through this like grass field. Like they're just like, hey, look at me, you learned how to walk. And this cat comes out of nowhere and just like flies into the kid, knocks it down and takes off. And that's like pure joy to me.
So I told her I don't really enjoy that stuff, and then she started trying to psychoanalyze me, and then so I think Emmett similarly has some of those same things. So maybe you should.
I also hate children. Yeah.
No.
But your thoughts on watching them fall down?
What about seventh graders? Is that a similar joy or different?
Well, they're usually jerks,
Yeah.
right? Like kids in middle school, like that's a tough period, and very few of them are pleasant to be around. So like them falling down it's like, well, you deserve that.
Well, so when I was in college,
He's gonna go through this traumatic story.
when I was in college, I went and worked at this summer camp out in Pennsylvania, and it was really rich kids that came to the summer camp, and they were snots. They were spoiled kids, right? And there was one day where we played some kind of football, and I was tackling the shit out of these seventh grade kids. Somebody did counselors versus kids.
Always a good idea.
And it was revenge day. I was like picking them up and power bombing them and just going apeshit on these kids.
That was probably very like just cathartic for you.
Yeah. And I wasn't.
You're not going to psychoanalyze it as violence and hate.
No, it's catharsis. He had all of this built up.
Yeah.
And it's not just, these kids are jerks. It's their background, their privilege. They don't understand.
I didn't even think in those terms. But there was this one kid that wanted the newspaper every day to watch his stocks. And he had 40 grand worth of stocks in 7th grade, which I guess if want your kid to get an early start, that's probably a very dysfunctional way to get him started ahead of everybody else. But
I mean, do that, but don't tell them about it.
yeah, but what I was thinking at times, like, man, this little shit has more stock than I will ever have. I never thought I'd have 40 grand worth of anything, so I was like, man, this freaking kid. So I definitely power bombed him. Well, but I was careful not to actually injure them. It was more.
And
play.
half of them are probably drug addicts now anyway. So
I hope so. Yeah. I hope they
and then it
crash
comes
their
full
Porsches.
circle, and then I stay employed, and it's great.
Perfect.
On that one, I told Renee where I like Jackass, the old TV show, because I feel like they usually do it upon themselves. At least the ones that I remember seeing. I felt like they didn't put people in bad positions, whether those people got hurt or they overly felt uncomfortable.
I think that's what makes it okay for Renee, because nobody is actively setting these kids up to fall.
They
It's
just
they
kind of
happen to capture.
Yeah, no, I understand it. I just I guess surprised that.
But if you set up a booby trap where hundreds of children were getting duped, would that be as funny? Or say it doesn't. So you say you set up a booby trap at a mall.
No.
What if you set up a booby trap that would catapult infants into a fountain?
This sounds like something.
So there comes a certain point where I gotta report things. So just make sure you're not dancing on that line. No, I think that was kind of my issue, the actual issue that I did have with Jackass. The first couple seasons was just all them doing dumb stuff to themselves and their friends, right? It was this group of friends and they were all just pranking each other, and that was really funny. And then they started to get into let's mess around with people in public and strangers and do weird stuff to animals. Kind of what was the Punk'd show? I never really thought that was funny.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, I just ruined your day, but haha, just kidding. No, you already ruined my day. That's not funny at all.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I have to stop myself from reacting violently to pranks.
Okay.
Just because you think it's funny, I don't think that the transgression is okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just play in a thought experiment. So you're saying if someone thought it was funny to get a jar of honey and maybe have some bees nearby and dump honey on you, you would want to punch them in the face?
It wouldn't even have to be that bad. They could throw a cake in my face.
That's a waste of cake.
Yeah. But that's you want to laugh at my expense, or especially if there's a chance of physical harm as well. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, you're potentially, on a probabilistic matter, you are trying to harm me.
Yeah.
There's some potential for harm there. So why wouldn't I harm you back to prevent you from doing that in the future? Right? I don't want to encourage you laughing at my danger. So I think it becomes very primal for me. I like to think deep thoughts and think I'm an intelligent, sophisticated dude, but if you start attacking my person, and especially if you find it funny, I don't have a good answer for that besides retaliation to discourage future.
Renee's answer is let it go. Let it go.
Well, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. There's things that are funny.
Yeah.
And then there's things that are malicious.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people somehow feel certain pranks
Are good or okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I feel like maybe three of us agree that certain things are malicious, but I feel like most the people I know that think a prank, they're okay with that prank. Where
you got messed up friends.
I saw one on the internet where
most people are like that though. Maybe I think most people are fucked up anyway, so it's not.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Absolutely.
I saw one on the internet where a dude ran up behind some stranger and blew an air horn next to his head.
I would kick a dude in wrong
the
places.
dude turned around and thought about it and then he slapped him as hard as a grown man could. Like
Yeah.
it was just short of a punch.
Had it coming.
Yeah.
Or like when people do the thing where they come up behind you with like a spray bottle and pretend to sneeze on you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, granted, you can't do that now. That was like a 2 years ago thing.
Yeah.
But like, no.
Yeah, I
no.
still don't like that. Even before that, I didn't.
Yeah,
like,
that's
before COVID, I didn't like.
yeah, no, that's not cool. Like invading a stranger's personal space is just
Yeah.
like not okay. Or like, don't ever touch my car.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So I created, since you're, this is like part 2 for you, so I'm just gonna I created 5 new questions.
Ooh.
What's the best vacation you've been on?
Best vacation I've been on? Probably Taiwan and Japan. It was one trip. We did a week each.
What about it?
I was.
Oh,
I may have already talked about.
You talked about Japan. But
Yeah.
I don't think you talked about Taiwan.
So Taiwan, I actually, this is going to sound super messed up. I had very low expectations because I didn't know what I was coming into. I was like, I
We
know
love you, Taiwan.
I just absolutely loved it. It was so clean. It was just, I mean, just dripping with culture everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful place. So I really, really enjoyed
Did
Taiwan.
you go to a pooped themed restaurant in Taiwan?
Oh, no. No, well, I went.
I've heard
I
of this.
want to
don't
say
know.
that we saw. I want to say that we went by and like saw it,
Yeah.
but we were with like family that lived there, and they were like, "There's the poop restaurant. Let's go get some real food."
So it's a famous thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing. I actually really enjoyed just like the night markets and stuff like that. And
yeah.
normally I don't like being in crowds. I don't like being around a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I was a giant. So I think that kind of helped. Like I could just kind of see above, and I was this like freak of nature, and like not so much in Taipei, but like out in the countryside, like I got stared at a lot. I was like, I'm a magical being.
If you had to pick Taiwan or Japan, which one would you? Or you could only pick one
To visit or
to visit again.
I want to do both. I feel like Japan, there's so much that I didn't see. There's so much more that I would want to see in Japan. Taiwan, I feel like I really got a good idea of, like we were all over the place. In Japan, it was like, okay, we did a lot of like touristy stuff. Like we did, Yokohama, we did Kyoto. And there's a lot more that I would like to see of Japan, I think.
Would you agree that Japanese people love robots?
Yes. I
And-
did see the enormous, like the life-size Gundam.
Oh, you did.
That thing was cool.
When's the last time you went?
I was there in 2018, I want to say,
And
February.
Did it move back then, or did
It did. I mean, it doesn't like get up and walk around, but it like shifts. Like some of the things come in and out. It's super cool.
Oh.
Yeah. When people said it moved, I was like, oh my God, it's gonna like walk around. And it doesn't do that at all.
Yeah.
But it's still like it like morphs or whatever.
Just
It's
restless.
not. It is. And, well, they play music and it's like, well, its face moved. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Next question: what inspires you?
Oh, that's hard on the spot, man.
That's
That is hard. Well, I actually do a lot of, because of what I do. I do a lot of like journaling and meditation and stuff. And there's always like these deep questions about like, what's your purpose? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just want to have fun. Like, I just want to, maybe that is my inspiration. Like, I just want to, I understand that this life is probably finite. If there are other lives, I'm not aware of them. So I just want to enjoy this one as much as I can. And maybe that is my inspiration. It's just have fun.
Yeah, we touched up on our last talk about if we were living in can't say the word
Simulation.
if there's aliens. I think we talked about.
Yeah.
There's some really fun I think those are some really fun topics I wish we had more time for.
What if the simulation does include aliens? Is that a double win?
What if it's created by aliens?
Triple win?
No, I think
He's going to get
serious.
really, really analytical about this. Like, well, I think the probability of aliens.
Aliens would be assholes, so they wouldn't.
They flew by and we're like, nah.
All right, enough making fun of me. Next question. What keeps you up at night?
And we're supposed to not make fun of you.
Correct.
I think the basic stuff that keeps most people up at night, like ruminating about the past, dumb stuff. How different would my life be if XYZ? I said this stupid thing today.
So, from a psychological standpoint, do you think?
Psycho reverse.
Do you think do people not do that enough? So I have a thing where I feel like I try to analyze my actions, the effects, the positive or negative effects on people around me. I spend a decent amount of time on those thoughts where it's regret on things that I did do. And I was like, man, I affected someone negatively. That really sucks. Gosh. And I almost, to some degree, almost never let it go. It may probably.
He'll tell me about, well, if I accidentally piss him off, like 2 months later, he's like, hey, I've given this a lot of thought and you really pissed me off.
I feel like for some reason I'm not good at analyzing at the moment what's right or wrong. It takes me some time for some weird reason.
Yeah.
But do you think people don't do it enough to just analyze their actions? I feel that.
I think people don't learn enough. You know, I think people will sit there and ruminate on the coulda, woulda, shouldas, or, you know, what are all the possible trajectories that could have happened, or what I should have done, could have done, whatever. But I don't think that people spend enough time actually like modifying their behaviors going forward.
I should have studied finance instead of accounting. That would have been better.
Isn't it the same?
Accounting is backwards looking and finance is forward looking.
I have a friend in finance. He gets really upset if you call him an accountant.
Oh yeah.
He's like, oh, finance. I'm like, it's money. It's whatever. It's right.
In a corporate job, they can be very similar.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that we make mistakes so that we can learn and that we can grow from them. So like if I get upset because, you know, I drive like an asshole to work and that like makes me upset because I'm cutting people off and stuff, then...
Oh, I thought you would feel good if you were just driving like an asshole.
Well, I'm saying if I had like Liam's, you know, demeanor, okay, and like I actually got upset when I upset people and, you know, cared, you know, but I kept doing the same behavior, you know, then I'm not learning anything. And that's just me beating myself up and not doing anything about it and being kind of, does that kind of make sense? Yeah, like as long as we learn from it. And I don't think that it's healthy to stay in that state of mind unless you're doing some kind of repair. Because if you're always over here in yesterday and you're always worrying over here in tomorrow, your body's here today, but where's your brain? You know, like, you're here today, enjoy today, you know?
Yeah. Is there
mindfulness exercise?
Do you have anything that fixes procrastination?
Meth?
I procrastinate on tasks that I don't want to do.
Apparently meth.
Meth? Okay.
It makes you super productive. I mean, not good for the teeth or the complexion.
Do you microdose the meth, or how does it?
My patients would say they're microdosing, but their lab results say otherwise.
Clearly. Well dosed.
What's the secret to quick weight loss? Meth.
Is there?
I do not give medical advice.
I don't give financial advice.
None of us
I give life advice.
So for procrastination, well, what about
like chores and tasks I don't want to do, work things that I have to do but don't have a deadline?
You have to make yourself a deadline. There's also this concept of
we may have discussed I manufactured the deadline, so
well, you got to either dumb it down or
myself.
the concept of a dopamine detox. I think we had kind of talked about that we become kind of addicted to things that give us very small but constant doses of dopamine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like our phones.
Yeah.
Like if you haven't picked up your phone in a while, you're just like, oh, I just got to pick it up and see what's going on. And you're hitting that reward center in your brain. When we detox ourselves from that, those mundane things aren't as mundane because completing that gives you that reward.
I wouldn't even call it mundane. It's something I don't want to do.
Yeah. Why don't you want to do it?
It's work.
But there's reward at the end, right? Like you complete it and that work is done. You don't have to do it, or you get some kind of compensation for it, or it's a piece of a larger puzzle.
Yeah.
Would like testosterone replacement therapy? Wow, got
tying pieces together
on that one. So if
I was beefier, would I get more shit done?
Wow. I feel like I don't want to ask more, but I'm going to continue.
You already opened the door. Keep going.
If someone was on the lower scale, and they're not deficient on testosterone, but they have been medically evaluated that they are just a little bit on the lower scale.
low part of the normal range.
Yeah. Would testosterone potentially give them that drive to get things done more often, or is that something?
I'm gonna go with not necessarily. I mean, again, I'm not a medical doctor here, but so much of that is just cognitive. You know, like, yeah, there's the hormones and there's the chemicals and there's the stuff like that. But a lot of it is we've just decided that this is how we are and this is how things are. Like work is boring. I hate work. Well, you decided that at one point. You know, I mean, not to look here.
Loves work. I mean.
It's work. You know, but at one point you enjoyed it. You wanted to go into this field. You were like, hey, this is going to be something cool and profitable and enjoyable for me. And it beats, you know, being a nurse or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, anything I do that's new is fun.
Yeah.
But anything you do as work after a couple of years, you've done it all several times. I have a problem with being excited by things I've done a dozen times.
Yeah. You get bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even whitewater rafting, you might get to a point where even though it's your favorite thing to do,
It's one of my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I did it every month or every week, I'm pretty sure quickly it wouldn't be awesome anymore. It'd be a drag.
No, I feel
to go
that.
somewhere, suit up, and get cold in the water, and yeah.
There's a racetrack and like done the same configuration so many times. It's like
You race stuff?
boring, mundane.
Have you guys talked about your race life?
Not on there, no.
Do you want to keep that private?
Well, I don't have the race car anymore, so
So
kinda,
a deep
I
sense
miss
of
it.
loss.
Which one?
Well, I had the Z,
Uh-huh.
and then after the second time I blew the motor, I decided I should stop doing that.
You don't consider the or
The 7, the little red one.
gosh, what's the name of it? Is it the open wheel car?
Yeah, that's the 7.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
You don't consider that race car-ish in any way?
I mean, it the heritage is, but that thing I would never take it on a racetrack. It's a death trap. It is. Like I've autocrossed it a couple times. It's fun, but like hit a cone once and had to replace the entire fender because it's fiberglass. So yeah, it's kind of like a board thing on that. So
okay.
yeah, that's all right. I'll get back out there one of these days. Left ear.
So
you know.
racing becomes a rich person's game quickly? Is that the...
Very much so. Very much so.
Why didn't you just LS swap the Z?
You just LS swap all the things.
Yeah,
I was
when
thinking
you blow
about that, but it
motors.
wasn't like, yeah, there was a lot of pressure to, I was very emotionally attached to the car. It was time.
Okay.
It's time for it to go.
Next question. I think I worded this poorly, but I'll just read it as the way I wrote it. At what age did you see yourself the most mature? What personality changes were there?
Obviously, you're less mature than your maximum.
Clearly.
What were the factors that led to those changes?
That's interesting because I think we talked about this a little bit last time when I was in like my 20s and my early 30s. Like I took myself very, very seriously. I took life very seriously. And I was like, it's all like when I got out of grad school, I had 4 jobs. Like I was hustling and that was just like, this is life. This is what I have to do. And
Stressful.
at one point, after I started working basically with chronically ill people, it was kind of there until they died. I was like, wow, I'm going to die at some point. It kind of like made me question my own mortality and like, what am I doing with my life? And, here I am at the, third halfway point. Like, what am I doing? Am I enjoying myself? Third or halfway,
Okay.
kind of.
I was multiplying them.
Yes, that. Look here, math geeks.
Is this a hockey game? What's
What?
So you should get into cryptocurrency. Your math's pretty good.
Right? But yeah, I think
you just buy and hold it.
it's just different perspective that I have now. Like life doesn't have to be so damn serious all the time. Like even with my patients, like it's serious stuff. Yeah, like you keep using heroin, you're gonna die, but that doesn't mean that we can't, joke around today. Have a little fun, enjoy, stop and smell the flowers, whatever.
Was there a specific story by chance when that thought came up? Meaning, were you helping some old person and
Buy heroin.
like they fell and like or you're helping someone, they almost died that day, and then that sparked the thought? Or
I think it was just kind of just being in that environment for a while, and then also just kind of the environment that I was at home, just kind of like in a crappy relationship, and just kind of like looking at everything like, why am I going through the motions like this if I don't enjoy what this is? Like, at some point I need to stop asking the universe to give me permission to enjoy my life and just decide to do it. Definitely a big changing factor for me before all of this, working with people dying thing was when I decided to buy that car, that Z. I'd always just had very sensible things, Honda Civic all the way. And then I was like, I can actually afford this. So like, why not just do that? And I didn't ask for anybody's permission. I just did it, and it felt amazing. And I felt like alive and met a lot of cool people through that too. So
around what age was that?
I got that in
Wait, the thought of that. When did that kind of
I would
happen?
say it was like a early 30s transition for me.
I like this question for me personally because I have a feeling as I get to interview more people and stuff that the answer of age 20 or age 25, I'm guessing it should be closer to the late 20s into the 30s when people are starting to. That's my guess. I have no idea.
What's the question? When do you feel mature?
When did you change? And
I enjoyed it. We're playing footsie.
Don't worry about it. It wasn't in the rules.
I'm proud that I haven't made any three-way jokes. This is the first time we've done.
Come on, you're doing so well.
What age did you feel did you start getting mature, and what caused it to happen?
Oh, at what age do you feel you matured?
To some degree, and I know that question can be the perspective on what their view of how to answer it and whatnot.
Yeah,
but I thought it's an open-ended question to some degree. But hopefully, for my selfish reasons, I hope it's in the 30s because I won't feel so bad because that's where I think mine was in the early 30s.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're also implying that maturity is a prerequisite for being a guest on this show, because you wouldn't ask an immature person.
Well, no,
when did you become mature?
Even an immature person should probably go through certain phases, and 15 years later, they may look back on this podcast and be, "Oh, I was fucking stupid." But
I have a friend that seems to be a perpetual frat boy.
Sometimes they never do. They never do. But his perception would probably be that he has at some point.
Well, so like he happened to see me on the freeway, and I have the magnets on my truck so you can spot me.
Yeah.
And so he pulls up next to me and honks the horn and then gives me the finger and then does the fake blowjob thing. And this he's probably well into his 30s.
The class act.
It cracked me up. But
Did he also smash a beer can on his head?
But I didn't have a response for that because I spend most of my adult life trying not to flip people the bird and make the blowjob pantomime. Mm-hmm. So I was like, hey, I know that guy.
Hi, friend.
Yeah, I was not prepared for that interaction.
all right, final question. What can you not live without?
Aside from like the basics of food and water.
Yes. That would be a lame answer.
I know. I don't want to just say my
that's the
cell
literal
phone.
answer, yeah.
I think I could live without my cell phone. I need to have like something warm and cuddly, like my cat, dog, fuzzy pillow. Like I need to have some kind of comforting
And baby tripping videos.
thing. Yeah, watching babies trip and fall.
If you have an awesome baby tripping video, post it in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And I'll let you know what I think.
So the cell phone, you didn't want to answer it?
I mean, I'm super reliant on it. I'm not going to lie. I'm as addicted to my cell phone as the next person.
You don't try to psychoanalyze yourself on that?
Oh, I do all the time. Yeah. I was hiking the other day with one of my friends who's also a therapist. And, you cut us loose in the wild and it gets crazy. And, most people, like, you're hiking, you're like, oh, hey, Rock, that's cool. Like, oh, how's the fam? All that stuff. And we're like 10 minutes in and she's like, what are the lies that you tell yourself?
Whoa.
I'm like, all right, so it's going to be that kind of trip. But yeah, we do a lot of self-psychoanalysis and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Which is fine. I mean, I don't think I'm doing a service to my patients or anybody if I'm not, you know, doing that myself.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know, I might not be a heroin addict. I might be, or I might not be. We don't know. But that doesn't mean that I can't do the same.
Quit whenever I want.
Stop whenever I want. Ever I want. That doesn't mean that I can't go through the same steps of improving myself that I encourage them to do.
Yeah. Just my personal take on the cell phone. I think it helps it makes my life so convenient, super convenient. There's quite a bit of entertainment on there, but I think I enjoy camping quite a bit. So I feel like I could easily unplug it. So it's just interesting to hear your outtake on it.
I think as long as I know that I can plug back in, then I feel okay with it.
I think I would oddly be more upset if I was forced to be unplugged and nobody else was unplugged. That would probably upset me. That's a weird.
What scenario is this that you're?
You got in trouble and I took away your phone.
Send me to prison maybe, because you could get the inmate said you could get cell phones in prison, so
you get all kinds of things in
They
there.
smell funny.
All right, on that note, let's call it the end.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.